Well, hello everybody. Alexa, turn my AC off. For those of you who don't have your home smartified and Alexa-ified or Google-ified, if you have an Ecobee or any type of smart thermostat, I think there's the other generic kind too. But I'm thinking of like the dial pad. You can configure really easily the settings to your Amazon Alexa or to your Google Home for voice commands, and pretty much can just like voice command turn AC on, turn AC off, set AC to blank, turn heat on. It's super convenient if you are an ultimate life hacker like myself and just want to be like as lazy as possible when you're home, which means you don't stand up at all to turn and modify the thermostat. Anywho, it's not why I came on here to talk. I have a huge update, and that is I am fully back in office. I am no longer working for a remote company because I had kind of signaled to you all that was not serving me in many ways. It just was leading me to live an unhealthy life and unhealthy for my standards, as in going to bed really late, something I complained about almost every podcast because I would say I was recording at like midnight. I'm recording at 9:25. I'm going to bed in 30 minutes because I have a 6 a.m. workout, which means I need to be up at 5:15, which probably means I should be going to bed a little bit earlier, but we're adjusting. And I'm trying to give myself a bit of grace because I'm only a week in. But I had signaled not only to you guys, but to myself, like, I don't think I'm living my best life. And it was always like, until then, or I'm trying hard to be better. But I think sometimes in your routine and in what you're doing, sometimes there needs to be cause to change, and like there needs to be something other than like personal motivation or discipline to change your habits and what you're doing, because realistically although I never truly tried, but I never was going to gain that much from waking up earlier, working out, getting my work done at my kitchen table, and then having the rest of my evening to just like sit inside. It was very minimal gain. And I think I knew this too if I were to like implement a good morning routine, because at the end of the day, I'd still be in my apartment all day, not socializing with people, being at home, feeling guilty that I don't have an in-person job, and then overcompensating by trying to plan like lots of friend activities on the weekend. My personality is designed to hack my day to be able to be as efficient as possible with the least amount of time. And the least amount of time to my standards. So when I'm done with work, I can completely clock out and like don't even have to look at my laptop. Or if I'm choosing to look at my laptop, it's something that's extremely accomplishable and something I can get done like very quickly. So I think I knew, even if I were to start, I think I knew why, because I am a disciplined person. And also the fact that I wasn't able to be very disciplined with my sleep and with my routine work from home also was a good signal of like, I don't think this is like the right conditions for me. But going back to what I was originally saying was, I think I knew it was going to be a lose some game if I were to like try to have healthy habits of things I've been wanting to do that I'm doing now, like wake up early, go to the gym. Because at the end of the day, I was going to just end up back in my apartment all day. And it's actually been really eye-opening. I mean, I'm not saying I have a crazy following on TikTok at all, but I have had a few videos gain a good amount of attention, and it was broadly around me kind of rambling about work from home life and how I just don't think it's actually very suitable for me. The demographic I do think it's suitable for, and that's people like my oldest sister, who is a stay-at-home mom, or not stay-at-home mom, but she's a mom and has two kids and like wants to be physically there for her children when she goes and picks them up from daycare, and have like a lot of, or from school too, for her son, and have like a lot of time with them at home, something that probably wouldn't be as accessible if she had to commute to and from an office. Same for her husband, my brother-in-law. I do understand work from home being really suitable for that lifestyle, but I kind of was just rambling how I am not afraid to voice that it's just not for me anymore. I think I just hit my expiration date because it was a great adaptation, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I just didn't even know any better because I was coming off of completely remote school into kind of hybrid, mostly remote senior year of college, graduating pretty remote, and then going into initially remote work out here in New York City that progressed into a hybrid environment that wasn't really enforced. So at first I was going in 3 days a week, and then that dwindled down to one because I was like, okay, I can be as productive as at home, in my head, be even more productive. Because part of me also I can feed into that narrative of like, I forget what's really important about work, which is like relationships and people. And I get kind of all consumed in my area, and especially in sales too. It's already such a self-serving position that it didn't really, the logic wasn't logicking when I would think, what am I getting by going into the office? Like, I'm just being distracted. When in reality, I wasn't like forming and forging really great relationships with my coworkers. And I did have good relationships with them, but it's like the potential to have even better ones, or even like my sister talks about the spontaneous interactions you have with folks to go like grab drinks or go on a walk, or it just leaves more room for just spontaneity and allows you to take a step away from work and realize, oh, you're not taking that so seriously. I don't need to take this so seriously. Yeah, let's go on a walk. And you get like really self-obsessed in your work. But at the time, I didn't know any better, and I was like all game for just putting my head down and grinding. And that was something that I only felt I could do successfully at home. So I really barely went into my first job office. And eventually that gave way into when I came across my last company. I'm like, yeah, this seems like a great idea. Like, I already basically work remote. I'm just going to work fully remote. Love it. Super great company, making a lot of money, good product, interesting industry. The reps seem to be making good money too, like kind of just checking all the boxes for a sales rep. And I think I kind of knew right from the jump that it wasn't going to be great, because I remember feeling I was not hitting certain milestones that I had hit even in my hybrid environment company. And milestones meaning like being able to like demo the product myself, or like feeling like I have a person that I can go to and like ask all my dumb questions to. And then eventually that just manifested itself in different ways of like just feeling insecure about like, am I doing this right? I can't really have anybody verify my work. I'm feeling bad asking so many questions. I'm told to just like research in Slack. I don't need to get into the minutia of why that remote work didn't work for me, but all I'm saying is maybe my expiration date was probably like 2 years, but I pushed it to like 3.5. And it was that last like 6 months where I'm like, no, I just can't do this. And even though we had opportunities to go into a WeWork, it's not the same. You're not interacting genuinely with these people. And it's not, maybe you are having genuine interactions, but all the WeWorks I've gone into ever, nobody's really like, people are just passing by each other. Everybody's again rightfully so, self-absorbed, self-consumed, self-obsessed with their work that they're there to do. Oftentimes they're there alone. What am I going to do helping Bill's painter company, or like Sarah set up her graphic designing website? Like, nobody's asking for each other's opinions. Nobody's opinion matters to one another. So it's just still a very invisible thing to do, even though you're around people. And so I never felt like that was a good use of my time, because A, you had to like pay to go to the WeWorks. B, you had to fully get ready. And I'm all about optimizing my energy. And I think I would rather have just been slightly miserable at home, but comfortable in my pajamas, having access to my fridge, my bathroom, whatever I want to do, my bedroom, lie on my couch, lie on my bed. Even though it's, I feel like I'm literally in lockdown, versus getting fully ready to just go feel also invisible in a communal work setting. So, and in all my interviews, when I get on the call, they're like, why are you looking to change? And it was so honest. I was like, I can't do remote work anymore. It's not serving me. It's not right for me. I need to be around people. And then I kind of did a full 180, and I went the complete like most extreme form of back in office, which is literally 5 days a week for a small startup where you are very visible to people all across the company, all the way up to the founder, CEO, to, I mean, that's like pretty much the extent of our C-suite, but you are visible to everyone. So it's not like you can kind of join a Workday or a Salesforce that enforces working in office days, even if it is 5 days a week, because you can kind of slip through the cracks in some ways, or eventually after 6 months in a position like that, because there's so many people, it becomes oversaturated and you can get away with doing certain things. But I went complete 180, and why I wanted to go to full startup is the first two companies I worked for, I think I told myself they were like a startup, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do, or I knew what I wanted to do eventually after my first company. I was like, okay, sales is interesting and cool. I'm good at it. I'm making money, like all the things that are important to me right now. But I never really had thought thoughtfully about the type of company, the size of company I want to work for. And it's kind of like you can look at companies like colleges. It's like, okay, what type of climate do I want to be working in? Like, do I want to go to a really big school? Do I want to go to a really small school? Do I want to go to a school that specializes in liberal arts, or do I want to work at a company that has a more like advanced engineering facing product? Like, you can look at the product, like the degree that you want to pursue. USC has like really specialized and tailored business degrees that UCLA doesn't offer. UCLA has really strong science and we would call it North Campus, like science, like life science and those types of degrees, like that you can look at that, like the product. And like obviously UCLA would be a large enterprise company, whereas I don't know, maybe like Bowdoin, or like what are other small liberal arts school out here? Purdue, maybe? No, Purdue's I think big. I can't even think of any. Vassar, like smaller schools. Scale. Do I want to be on like even something as like, do I want to do extracurriculars? Like, is that something that I'm interested in? What type of visibility do I want to have at my school? Do I want to be involved in like student leadership? Do I want to be like in political advocacy? Do I want to be like a loud voice? In that case, you'd probably be better suited for a startup because you are a big fish in a small pond. So I think you can kind of think of the types of companies you want to work for similar to how hopefully you were thoughtful about where you went to school, because that it really is a first real major decision that you make in your life, and hopefully you make it for yourself. And if you don't, I think you should ask yourself critically, who are you making this decision of where you're going to school for, or who are you making this decision of who you're going to work for? It should always be for yourself. And you should be able to at least list a few reasons as to why you're choosing to work at a company or why you're choosing to stay at the company you're working at. It should always be a conscious decision. You are a commodity, and you can view it as in the workforce, and you can view that as a bad thing or a good thing. As a bad thing, you could see that you are completely replaceable at most times, and that people are probably vying for your job, and also qualified for your job. And then second, you could look at it positively, which is what I opt for, and that is you are extremely good at your job. Yes, you might be replaceable, but people won't be able to do the job as good as you. You bring personality and grit and like great performance and work ethic to what you do and are an asset to the company. So therefore, if you feel like you're not getting what you want out of your company, then you can move. So this is like a long ramble, but it's kind of how my brain was working and how it was like processing these things and things that I maybe wished I'm trying to facilitate this podcast as if like I wish I had something like this to listen to, so I could maybe put this in the back of my brain as I continue to like navigate my career and the types of companies I want to work for. But going back to my original point on when I have posted a few TikToks about feeling like oddly guilty about not enjoying work from home and suddenly not enjoying it, and why I wasn't enjoying it. Of course, I got the natural, I love work from home. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I will never return to office. And those comments, 90% came from either moms, older women who have done the work in office situation for a while and are very suited being at home. Ones that have like pets that are also older middle-aged women, have children. I think I said that. And then ones that had, this was a really strong one, ones that had really long commutes, like driving commutes. That was a super strong opinion as to why work from home is not suitable. And I mean, commute, I don't need to worry about. I walk to work now. And most people in New York, unless you live in Jersey, like even if you do, you just take like a train. Doesn't seem like it's a huge complaint for many. But a lot of the comments were like, I needed to hear this. Thank you so much. Like, this actually validated everything I've been feeling. Finally, somebody's been able to like personify or like verbalize how I felt about work from home. You're not alone. I feel this exact way. Like, you literally just took the thoughts out of my head and stuff that I'm like, whoa, are we like not talking about the fact that work from home is just maybe not something that's serving a lot of us mid 20s, mid 20-year-olds anymore? And to that, I'd say this completely makes sense. I mean, first of all, we are naturally social creatures. Despite if you think that you are an introvert, you do need other people around you to literally survive and have a fulfilling life. Like, that is scientifically proven. It's like the number one indicator of longevity of life is companionship. And of course, it starts with having a good relationship with yourself, but that does start as well with having strong relationships with your families and your friends. And a part of that, and a large pillar of that, is also your colleagues, because you spend most of your days, most of your weeks, and unfortunate or fortunate enough, most of your life with colleagues. So it's might as well try to make them your friend, especially if you have to be around them so much. And why I think mid 20-year-olds are on track to feeling how I am is we already had to sacrifice and completely sacrifice really important years of our like development to being completely quarantined and being subjected to these things that just like nobody had ever even like heard the words before, only in movies, and have complete cutoff of like social interactions, to the point where I feel like we tried to like over justify it to ourselves, or at least I did, thinking I'm going to try to think as optimistically about this as possible. And this can't be that bad. Like, we can find the silver lining in having to lose pretty much our entire junior and senior year of college and not being able to formally walk on a stage for graduation. We have to find silver linings in this to be happy and to feel like we're still living a fulfilling life and not like falling victim to everybody being like, oh my God, that sucks. I cannot believe this is happening to you. So I think for me, I think I overcorrected and just kept finding all the positives in this work from home, study from home life. I mean, I was probably justifying, oh my God, I can cheat on all my tests. I can cheat on all my homework. I like don't need to turn in things. I can like make things up. I can pretend I have COVID and have to miss classes and exams. And I only have to hang out with the people I like now because quarantine and COVID and disease spreads like wildfire. So you can't hang out with certain groups of people. I don't know. And then once I hit the work world, I'm like, this is amazing. I have already proven to be so productive at home. I can translate this into my work life. And as long as I can make money, I'm just going to keep doing this. So I just think I just never was thinking about the fact that I wasn't living a normal work life until I joined the previous company I was at, is where I was like, okay, like, my roommate, Nicolina, was waking up every single day and going to work majority days of the week. I think she would work from home like maybe once or twice a week. And it never really occurred to me that I felt occasionally I'd be like, oh, yeah, I kind of feel like I don't do much during the day. Like, I go wake up and just get on my computer. Like, if I actually distill what the fuck I was doing with my life these past few years, just like working from home, I mean, I have like great memories, and I feel like I've lived such a great busy life, but like, what the fuck? I literally wake up every single day and just like crouch over my computer. So I don't know. I think I've mentioned this before. I feel my body just knows when something isn't right for me anymore, and it tells me, and I have to change. And I also, similar to how, funny enough, viewing working out, I pretty much change my workout routine every year on the dot. Because last year, this whole year I was doing practice room. Last year I did New York Pilates. The year before I was Equinox. The year before, I think I was also Equinox. I did it for like 2 years. There is something major in my life that just like of my routine that has to change every year. And for a while, I guess I maybe just thought that was going to be my workout routine, and just continuing to justify me sitting hunched over my computer every single day. And a part of also what I shared with my TikTok community was, and I've noticed this, I was overcorrecting by being the facilitator, the planner of all the all the girls trips, all the girls dinners, all the girls night out, all the double dates. Like, I literally would fill my social calendar for the next 3 months, just slotting people in each day, do a workout with me, go on a walk with this person, saying yes to hanging out with people that now that I look back, I'm like, I don't really truthfully need to hang out with you anymore. Like, it's totally okay that we just are very different people. And I just was completely trying to justify to myself and signal to myself, oh my gosh, Faith, look at all the amazing people around you. Like, even though every single day you wake up and hunch over your computer in your pajamas, looking like a raggedy old Ann, and then do your one workout class a day where like you may know the instructor, but that's pretty much the only person that you see every day besides outside of Dylan, you still have so many people around you. You have such a great community in your life. Like, look, like when your sisters tell you it's weird that you don't go into office, like you can still feel so good about yourself that you have so many friends. And although that definitely was true, I think looking back, I completely would guilt trip myself into like planning all of these events with my friends because I wanted to tell myself, oh, you have friends and you have community and you have people, and B, you are still a very social creature. When I was really just hanging out with a lot of people that I was probably forcing situations with, and probably someone, if I was living a bit busier of a life that I am now, I wouldn't necessarily prioritize to hang out with, and would prioritize other people that are more important to me. I just didn't have my priorities straight. No, I'm not saying in a week I've had it. I mean, also disclaimer, I've only been at this company for a week, but I already have found just like such profound learnings from this adjustment. And I had mentioned this earlier on, but I knew I had to change something drastic in order to really change my habits. And I think outside of the one big metaphor and comparison I was giving you, which is like you can look at what type of company you want to work at, similar to kind of how you filtered out what colleges you wanted to look at and apply to and consider. Similar to how I viewed that, and maybe you might relate to this, in order for me to change something about my life, because I think I'm a really stubborn person, so stubborn that I think I even fight with myself on doing things or not doing things. And I need to, A, always be in control, but B, I have to put myself at my own will to change. I will make a decision like, okay, Faith, on this date, you are going back in office 5 days a week. You need to change your habits. I will do something so crazy like that and have a deadline so crazy and so stern that I have to change my habits. I put myself against my own will. Even though, yes, this is a very uncomfortable time for me. I've had to completely reorient my schedule. I'm waking up 4 hours earlier, 3 hours earlier than I ever was. I'm going to bed hours earlier than I was previously. Like, everything about my routine is just so different. I'm going into the office 5 days a week. I'm working for a very small company. I'm like sitting around people. I'm in the office longer than I would if I was in a normal, like larger company, nine to five. Like, I'm there like around like 8:30 to like 6 most days. It's just such crazy change. And I mean, we'll see if I feel this like happy with my situation in a few months. I'm most certain I'm going to go through seasons where I'm like, I don't know what I've done. But I think it's also good to understand. I think change is really good for people, and you can't convince me otherwise. I do think change is inevitable in your life. And I actually shared this. This was a thought I had. If you can, and maybe you can disagree with this because maybe it is good to have uncontrolled change. However, if you can somehow change things, pretty drastic things in your life, whether it's where you're living, where you're working, who you're friends with, who you're dating, if you can willingly change this and feel and like confidently change these things because you know something's not serving you anymore, and readjust and reacclimate to your new normal, to whatever new city you moved to whatever new friends you chose to be with, whatever new job you chose with, whatever new person you chose to date or chose to just be alone. If you can do these things, I think it'll make when unpredicted change happens to you in life, you'll feel more prepared because you'll feel confident of like, oh yeah, remember that time when I completely just shifted around my entire life and went back in office 5 days a week, started waking up really early to train for my marathon and train, like I'm only giving all myself examples. Like I can do this. I can face this, what I did not expect or control change because I've experienced voluntary change in the past and I've completely like done it and conquered it. So I do think it is really healthy for people to change things in their life and have a good mix of course you're going to have the uncontrolled change. It's always going to show up abruptly at your front doorstep, but the voluntary change, I think it's good, especially if you feel like something needs to shift in your life. It's a great opportunity to capitalize on it and be like, all right, what's one chess piece I can move around? Like really our whole life is just a bunch of chess pieces. Some get knocked out. I don't know if ones can get brought back in. I don't think that's how you play chess, but you really are only working with all the same pieces. Maybe you could view it as a puzzle that can be like reconfigured and put in different types of, put back together and make different paintings. But you're always working with kind of the same pieces. You're just like choosing which ones to put at the forefront. And you're also adding new pieces too. So maybe that's not a good analogy. I just think it's really important for people to think about their life and like what they're willing to change and maybe not willing to change too. I think that's just equally as important. But this really is just a PSA. I want to keep this more short and sweet because I know I come on here and talk about work life a lot. That if you are confused about your job, I think it's really important to write down, okay, what are the things I like about my job? What are the things I don't like? And then circle the non-negotiables between the what I don't like and what I like. Like what are absolutely things that you never want to have to deal with on the I don't like, and the things that you always want to have in the I like. And from there, kind of think critically, okay, what type of setting do I want to work in? Does it relate to the type of setting and the environment of the company? Does it relate to the product of the company? Does it relate to the mission of the company? Does it relate to how much money I'm making, to like the status I have at my company, to the people I'm with? Like, do I really care about having really cool, interesting people that I work with? Or is it, I feel like I can be friends with everyone? Or is it like, I just really need one or two people to like be friends with at my company and feel comfortable? Do I want to work for a small company, a large company? Like understanding those circled and highlighted things, maybe even ranking them, because you're obviously not going to be able to get every single thing on the things that you absolutely never want to deal with and the things that you always want to have moving forward. There's going to have to be sacrifice there. And maybe the sacrifice is in the size of the company. Maybe sacrifices in the amount of days you need to be in office. Maybe the sacrifice is around having to work with really social people, and you might not be that super social of a person. But if you are confused about your job, doing that exercise, and then you might come out at the end of it and be like, actually, I really think that the job I'm in right now is still serving me and I actually feel really content and peaceful with it. Or if it's a turning point for you where you could think, actually, I think it's time for change. And let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with interviewing. If you can keep it under the radar, and obviously don't put your LinkedIn like open to work, but take a couple interviews, maybe take a couple networking calls with folks on LinkedIn that maybe you came across their profile. They went to your same undergrad or graduate school. You're like, hey, your job looks really cool. I would love to just pick your brain, ask you a few questions about what you do and how you got there. And maybe you can bestow any knowledge on myself. Do you have 20 minutes this Friday? So you can shoot me a text here. Like, would love to coordinate something. People love to talk about themselves. I've talked about this before. Take a couple networking calls, take a couple interviews, get your feet wet, kind of see if the market out there is, worthy. For me personally, in my experience on the sales side, and maybe it was the way that I was executing my cycles, I felt I would have never known that the job market's like not great. I feel like everybody always says the job market's not great. Had not that experience at all. I had a surplus of opportunities. And I can credit that to being in sales. I can credit that to looking at both startups where they're kind of always hiring for people who have a few years of experience under their belt, as well as mid-size and enterprise companies. So I kind of was just like, I was a fish for whatever pond, but I felt the job market was really healthy. And after taking what's the saying? Like getting a few swings at bat, I was able to realize, okay, yeah, there's some interesting stuff here. I'm feeling confident about my abilities and the way that I'm able to articulate my experience. Because sometimes too, as women, we can maybe think our experience isn't good enough in that how are we going to be able to market ourselves if we feel like we really haven't done that much. Once you start talking to people, whether it's hearing what people have done in their roles and like in their careers, and maybe you start to think, oh, okay, I've done all those things too. And I'm like not that much younger than you. Or I'm not that much older than you or something like that. Or you start to think when you're interviewing and they're asking you questions about like, what are things that you're proud of? What are things that you've like accomplished? Like what's one difficult thing that you've done in your life and your job that you're really proud of, and how you're able to answer those questions can also be a good realization of, okay, actually, I feel like I have done a lot and I feel like I am really good at my job. And I actually don't think I want to be looking for other positions because, of course, they'll be asking you, like, why are you interviewing? Or you'll think, oh, I actually am really good at my job, but I'm really excited for the next opportunity and I can market myself really well. And I'm excited to interview and get better every single interview. So if you are on the cusp of wanting to change, just do it. If you regret it, you will always come back to your like happy medium. Like balance will always find you. And sometimes it might take a bit more effort, but I really do feel change is like really good, especially if you're in your mid-20s. We're allowed to be uncomfortable. We have safety nets, meaning we don't have children. We really only have to take care of ourselves, and keep a roof over our heads. You'll figure it out. And at the end of the day, you'll just become a more resilient, more self-confident, and more just like interesting of a person, because you'll be putting yourself in situations that a lot of people maybe would feel too uncomfortable doing. So I really encourage you to take the leap of faith and just try something new, get a new job, make a new friend, just do something new in your life and continue to build that confidence. And tell me when you do. I always love to hear. So anywho, I know this was short and sweet. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Tune in as I continue to take you along this series of Faith Back in Office. And we have really fun, exciting guests coming up. The next one will be, her name is actually Faith. I found her on Instagram. She is like a life coach, mentor. She works with many communities, including Form, which is like Sammy Clark, her fitness, and a few other like fitness online communities. She helps with like meditation and life coaching and mentorship. And she also works in tech in a 9-to-5. So it's a bunch of women, side hustles. I have female founders coming on of beauty brands, of fashion brands. I'm really excited to share all their stories with you. And please stay tuned. So follow, subscribe to the channel. Please, if you can, rank 5 stars. It really helps me so much with visibility within Spotify. So I really appreciate all of your reviews and the time that you guys spend listening to me. Okay, bye.